What's old is new again. I mean, we could say that all the time, but there's this new thing, air quotes, new thing called the no buy challenge. And it's consistent with, the book called The Year of Less and all these other things that have occurred over time. But basically, it's encouraging people to challenge themselves to reduce non-essential purchases or even quit them entirely. And we're going to talk about what this is, what this means, and how to do it. Our guest is Rebecca Rowe. She is a personal stylist and decluttering expert, and she joins us now from Ottawa. Hello there.
Hello, thanks for having me.
What a terrible idea. A decluttering challenge, no buy challenge. This sounds very much like the book Year of Less, which I interviewed the author of back in 2018. Why
Mhm.
do you think the no buy challenge is popular now?
Honestly, I think that the internet has made it cool. And so that's
Mm.
one of the things, one of the reasons that it spiked so much in 2025. That combined with, the more challenging economic times, but we have found a way to make buying less much more approachable and cool than it used to be a few years ago.
What attracted you to the idea? What had you say, okay, into this? I'll sign up
So
for
my
this.
ex my expertise is actually in a capsule wardrobe living, so another type of minimalist experience, another type of minimalist lifestyle. And part of that is creating a bit of a no buy. So you're trying to look inwards before going outwards to find those missing pieces.
That's great. That's a foundational insight for all of personal finance. I love it. So,
Right?
tell me a bit about what this would look like. So, either in your experience or ones that you're working on with your clients, like what does this actually mean? Do you have to take Amazon off your phone?
I mean, I suggest taking Amazon off your phone, making any sort of habit where it's easy to spend money it's off your phone. I would definitely recommend taking that away. But what it really means for my clients is it's a bit of an introspective workshop before that because there's a big emotional tie to buying anything, especially for women and especially for clothes. So what we do is we start kind of backwards, and when you're in a clear headspace and you're ready to like, okay, I'm going to do it, then we come up with a plan. So how long are you going to do your no buy for? Is it a week, a month, a year? What is the length of time so that you have a goal in mind? Sometimes it's a financial goal as well. Sometimes it's I'm X many hundreds and thousands of dollars in debt. I want that gone, whatever the case may be. And then you're going to give yourself rules because you're never going to go an entire 12 months and not buy a single thing. It's just not possible. So is it you can replace an item, you can replace an item as long as it's secondhand. What are the rules that you're willing to give, and what are the habits around the habits that you have currently? So that those are what we need to kind of untie.
When it's a world of one, if it's only the individual, I can imagine it's much easier than when you factor in, oh, I've got a spouse and I've got a kid and I've got a mom who expects to exchange gifts on our birthdays. How do you see those ripples going out into other people that every individual is going to be in contact with?
First thing I do when I work with a client who's trying to get into a no buy is you tell people that you're getting into this and you're telling everyone who's important to you. So your husband, your spouse, your kids, your mom, whatever. And maybe one of those rules is okay, on my kids' birthdays and Christmas, I'm still purchasing a gift, but they're getting one gift and not three, or whatever that rule is around you. If gift giving is important. I've also seen people who are saying, no, we can go out and spend money, but it has to be an experience. So we're going to take the money that we saved on this whole no buy year and we're going to go on a family vacation at the end of the year. So again, it really is kind of tweaking it to fit the needs and the values that you have in your family. But rule number one is you have to tell people what you're doing. You
Mm,
can't just be
mm.
like, oh, sorry, I'm not going to hang out with you anymore because
Don't
all
give
we
me
do
that
is talk,
gift. Get it away from me, and I'm never giving you anything.
right?
This
It's not going to work.
It doesn't work. This another thing that sometimes doesn't work is abstinence. So we know within sex ed, abstinence is a theory that is proven ineffective when it comes to teenagers and their bodies. With alcoholism and alcohol, abstinence really for many people is really the only way. How does someone on a no buy challenge navigate the fact that they may not be perfect? They fall off that horse, and you want to encourage them to get back on it again.
I mean, if you don't brush your teeth on a Tuesday, would you wait until Monday to brush your teeth again?
I would not wait. No.
Right? So people, you're gonna have a slip up, you're gonna buy something, you're gonna fall for the ad, you're gonna fall for the marketing, whatever the case may be. But I always kind of tell people like don't beat yourself up for it, but like let's find out the root cause. So did you purchase because you felt bad? Did you purchase because you were excited and celebrating? What was the reason that you went out in the first place? Was it that you were following a certain influencer and this influencer is a really big trigger for you? Whatever the case is, but we kind of got to go back one step and figure out the why before we can kind of change
Mm.
that why.
One of the incredible things that marketers have figured out is how to prompt the release of dopamine in our
Oh,
brains, on our phone, on our Instagram. I have a kid with ADHD. We talk a lot about dopamine and trying to have a dopamine menu so that my kid can have that hit of dopamine, but in ways that are less harmful to them. For those of your clients or for those Canadians for whom ADHD or dopamine is a real issue, what
mhm.
additional steps can they take in order to mitigate the risk of failure just because of brain chemistry?
I don't want to deprive them of the dopamine hit that they get when they're shopping, but we do want to try and replace it. So I had a couple of clients who it was more of a habit-based thing and it was a dopamine hit, but their dopamine was because they went on a little tour and they knew all of the shop owners. And so they went and they said hi to one shop owner and then hi to another shop owner. And the next thing you know, they came home with a bunch of bags and they were like, wait, how did this happen? So in that case, the dopamine hit that she was particularly looking for was actually community. She was looking to have that interaction where someone was saying, oh my gosh, you look so great. You should try this on. Like, and how's your day going? She wasn't getting that anywhere else in her life. So what I suggested to her was that we replace the shopping kind of loop with something else that still had her interacting with people. And so she joined, I think it was a sports club, and she got that same sort of dopamine hit of, wow, you did so great. Wow, this was awesome. You played so well. And that met her need for it. But really, it has to be kind of on an individual level. And it's really hard to do
Mm,
this over radio because you're just like, well, what is it?
sure.
But
Yeah,
when it
yeah,
comes
yeah.
down to it, is that you are searching for something, but we need to figure out what that something is.
I expect, or I could surmise that one of the insights your clients who are decluttering experience is looking at what's in their closet from the perspective of, the arc of history that had them buy 5 shirts that look exactly the same and feeling like regret or annoyance or something. What is the level of insight where a decluttering exercise can really support them on a no buy challenge because they see it? It's like, why did I buy that shirt? I don't need that shirt. I don't want that shirt.
Yeah, so I mean, well, what I do is there's two different problems for what I do. So there's I don't know how to style something, and so they're actively buying because they're told that this white shirt, even though it's kind of the same as all the other white shirts that they have, is going to fix this problem. It's going to make this outfit work. But then you also have the people who have a buying problem and who get that rush of dopamine, and they don't have a regret usually. The ones that have a buying problem,
Okay.
it's like it is a regret, but it's not like they don't see the difference or the sameness, I should say, in all five of those shirts because they want to keep all five of those shirts also. And then the people who I find have the styling problem really go into, oh, well, sure, we can let that go. If that doesn't work for me, no problem. Like, let it go. So, what it comes down to it, when you are doing a decluttering challenge, what are those feelings that come up for you? Is it that you don't know what to do with this piece and you're holding on to it because you want to figure it out? Or are you holding on to it because it makes you physically feel ill to let it go?
Hmm.
I don't know if that kind of helps
Yeah,
answer the
it makes
question.
total sense. It makes total sense. One last question before we go. I have an ambivalent relationship to social media, and in particular around personal finance. So I think it's great that new folks and new generations are getting engaged by new and diverse voices that have lived experience that reflect what the consumers of that content feel. And sometimes there's real credibility gaps in that advice. What would you say about how you engage with this kind of finfluencer content? How do you feel?
Uh, putting me right on the spot here. I don't agree with a lot of some of the influencers, but at the same time, they are like they're using a marketing tactic, and unfortunately, what has to happen is the same way that I get my clients is word of mouth is going to kind of buy them eventually, where they're going to, enough people are going to use their services, they're not going to see the results, and then they are going to talk to their friends because that's what you do, especially in certain communities. Like you just talk to your friends and say, don't hire this person because they were terrible. I am lucky enough to have a community around me that says, oh, no, you should hire her because she knows what she's talking about. And it just kind of has to snowball. If you're looking for someone to step into your closet with you, that's a really personal place to be because you are, taking off your armor a little bit. I would always suggest to just make sure that you talk to the person before you hire them.
Okay, here's my confession. I'm terrible at ironing. Tell no one. And
There are no iron options.
I know, but okay, I don't know. Maybe I have to have you come and look. I'm looking at my closet right now thinking, oh, I couldn't have Rebecca in to see it. Also, so much of my world is in Zoom. So you can't even tell that this shirt wasn't ironed because it's Zoom, right? It's different
Fine.
than in
No
person.
big,
It's fine.
no
It's
big
fine.
deal.
Good. Rebecca, thank you so much for joining us today. I really
All right.
appreciate it.
My pleasure. Enjoy the rest of your
Re
day.
Rebecca Rowe, a personal stylist, a decluttering expert. She was here to talk about this no buy challenge, how it works, and whether or not it could be for you.